One. Welcome to Tired Dad Podcast. This is episode 14, and again with me we have,
Melissa
and
Ross.
I am Nathan Ross. And today we're going to talk about some hot topics that you dads have actually given me some inspiration to do this podcast, which I'm very excited about.
I always come in not a clue, no, without a clue what we're
No, I
talking
like to
about.
surprise you,
And
like pounce on you like a
yeah,
lion.
you're getting an authentic response then.
Yeah,
It's not
and
rehearsed
a
at
lot of
all.
people have asked me, why have I got you on the show?
Hmm? I'm
Why
not
have
a
I
dad.
got? And I always, yeah, you're not a dad. In the world we live in, you never know.
Not in this house.
Not in this house, not for sure. However, the reason why me and my wife started to do this podcast is because it's always good to get a woman's perspective.
Perspective.
Perspective, that's
Hmm.
it, perspective. Because otherwise, what tends to happen is it becomes very biased, and it's good to know the woman's point of view.
Yeah.
Like we did that podcast in episode 13 about why do women stop children, their dads seeing the children. And I
Yeah.
think that was a big hitter. And obviously we introduce, we interview other dads as well. I can't talk tonight. What's
You
going on?
okay?
I'm all right, yeah. We interview other dads as well, and we get their points of view. But it's sometimes good to get Mrs. Ross's point of view.
And here I am.
And here you am.
Here you
So
are.
here you am. Here you am. Okay, let's talk about topic number one.
Okay, hit me.
Why do relationships turn into roommates?
Ooh, okay.
Now, no, I'm talking about this because I feel like a lot of marriages, and I think we did towards the end before we had a bit of breakdown. I think you don't become, I don't like the term roommates, but I do believe that we became very
We were passing ships.
passing ships. Yeah, I was building the business.
I wouldn't say we were technically roommates because to be roommates, you have to live together. And you were never home. So I don't know if we were
True, yeah.
roommates rather than, two parents that slept in the same bed and shared a child.
Yeah.
Other than that, we didn't have a lot in common, really, did we?
Well, it's not like we didn't have a lot of common. We didn't do a lot.
Well, yeah, our lives weren't really aligning,
Aligned,
were
no.
they? Yeah.
I read a thing today. It was when I was doing my calendar. Just to let you know, dads, I'm doing a 2025 January roadmap for you dads that you can download, which is and I was just building that today. And you can become very logistic based. So
Okay.
you're doing things logistically, like who's sorting the kids out, who's picking the kids up,
Yeah.
who's doing things that you need, the practical side of things, and there's no connection, and you're just passing ships. And I think that's what we did towards the end before I moved out.
You're juggling tasks, aren't you?
Yeah. So how do you go from roommate to soulmate?
Ooh.
Oh, I'm living my little rhymes and times
I
today.
know.
How do you go from
So
roommates?
poetic.
Oh no, I just didn't know it.
Hmm.
How do you go from roommates to soulmates?
With intention.
That's what I put. That's what. Yeah, I found that out today when I was researching some stuff. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's go deep dive into it because
Okay.
a lot of dads want to know. They're in a roommate situation. They're passing ships. They're not having sex. They're not doing anything. They're working hard. They're not feeling connected. They're not feeling appreciated. They're not doing all and they're trying their best, but they're still coming across as roommates, not soulmates. My first thing is hard conversation. You've got to have the hard conversation. Do you not agree?
Of what your needs are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you talk about you introduced me to the love languages. My God, what, 10 months ago, 11 months ago, you
Longer
introduced.
than that, you've only just started listening.
I've
recently.
only just started listening. This year, 2024, was a year of listening.
It was.
It was a Chinese New Year of listening.
It was.
Okay, so we spoke. So we need to start having hard conversations about
Yeah.
love languages, don't we?
Yeah. If you're not getting your needs met in the relationship, you've
Yeah.
got to be open and honest about that.
Yep.
What are you prepared to give as well? Because
Yep.
I think it can be a lot of resentment can build when you feel like your needs are not getting met. But sometimes you've got to look introspectively and
Yep.
think, okay, I'm not getting my needs met, but
Yep.
am I meeting the needs of my partner also?
And I think, and I know
Compromise.
what a lot of dads are thinking now. A lot of dads will be thinking, that's great, but whenever I get to have a hard conversation with my wife or my partner, it ends up in an argument. Okay, it ends up in some type of row. You're not doing this, I'm not doing this, tit for tat. We've been there. Come on, we know it. We want to say something in a positive way and talk about it, but it ends up in an angry discussion and rage and all that sort of thing. Or it just doesn't get, it gets like, no, we're fine or whatever. How can dads move forward in a positive way where it doesn't end in conversation? What does a woman need to do, or how does a woman need to feel to not feel like we're coming at you, or feeling like we're targeting you, or feel like we're causing an argument?
number one, pick your timing.
Yeah,
I think
guys,
that's important.
there's a certain time of the month.
No, I don't just mean that. I don't just mean that.
Yeah.
If you can see that your partner's had a specifically or, you know, a particularly fractious day, or they're a bit burned out from the kids and work and juggling the house, perhaps that isn't the night to have that conversation. I always think the best conversations with the best outcome, because you can have good conversations that lead nowhere. The best conversations that lead to a good outcome are the ones where it's just the two of you with no distractions, and sometimes those might have to happen on that time that you just get the two of you. So it might have to be on a date night, it might have to be again when the children have gone to bed, or
and let's talk about that, because again there's so many things, topics we can just go off to.
Trying to have that conversation in the middle of cooking dinner when you've got the kids around is not the ideal time, is it?
No,
and you're not going to get your desired outcome.
No. So I mentioned to a dad today in my tired dad support group that, you know, in order to have a good, honest, open conversation where you want to explore certain topics, go on a date night. Go on a date night, because it's a positive environment. You're both there to eat food or whatever you both like to do. Ours is always around food, so we'll go to a nice restaurant or whatever, and have that hard conversation in an environment where you're not going to explode because people are watching or listening.
You haven't got to sort of filter what you're talking about because you haven't got your kids around.
And also you're in a positive environment because you're eating food or doing what you're doing, so it's a happy time. And so you can start to explore. And I know from, if I need to have a hard conversation with you about something, the first thing I always do is talk about what I'm not doing. So I understand I'm not doing this, and this. However, can we do this, and this? And
if the sandwich effect is always a good one, isn't it?
The sandwich effect.
I know exactly when you're using that.
I learned that back in the counselling days.
Good, bad.
Yeah, exactly. Start with a good.
Oh, sorry, good, bad.
Start with a middle of the bad, and then end with a good. So we do the sandwich effect. And you women usually fall for it.
You women.
So that's a good idea to do it on a date night. But I do think when you are roommates and you want to explore what's going on and why has it become that way, you've got to look at, like you said, what you're doing personally. What are you not doing? Because I know, again, and I put a content thing up the other day about it, that a lot of us as dads tell the lies. She doesn't want to reconnect. She's not bothered. It's all her. It's never to do with me. And the reality is you're waiting for us to reconnect. We're not quite sure how to do it. All you're thinking about is so easy. You just got to do love languages. Mine's this, and this, and yours this, and this, and then explore that. And then, as a man, we spoke about it the other day in the other podcast. Stop being stubborn. Stop being stubborn.
I think men and women connect it on different levels at different points as well. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like women want to have that emotional connection before the physical. We've spoken about this before. I'd say as a general rule of thumb, whereas men, I think that the physical connection is then going to lead to the emotional connection. So men and women, I believe, are wired differently in that way. So if you think that coming on to your wife before you've had this difficult conversation is going to lead to a positive outcome, more likely than not, it's not going to. Let's have that difficult conversation, and trust me, once you've come to some kind of resolution that you're both happy with, that will build that physical
and let's be real
as well.
Most intimacy that happens between a couple,
It's outside the bedroom as well.
It's outside the bedroom that leads into the bedroom. So the emotional connection outside the bedroom, which is probably another topic we could talk about.
We spoke about that on a previous podcast, that you know, the biggest floor play for a woman will be how you begin the day, and how you speak to her, and how you treat her. Same sort of thing with this emotional connection. You can't expect a woman to be, you know, wanting to be, you know, completely open and vulnerable and physical with you when she's not heard. And she's not.
And there's a tip there, guys. Okay, so if you really want to get down with the nookie and cookie and or have the great fun with your wife, start getting emotionally connected with them. And as men, it's very hard to become emotionally connected with your wives, but you got to learn. And I'll bring it back to the love languages. Every time, there's 5 of them. Can you remember what all 5 were?
Physical touch, quality time, presence, like giving gifts, communication. And
appreciation, was that one?
No. Acts of service.
Acts of service,
So doing things on someone else's behalf, which I would say is a lot of men's love language, in addition to other things, you know, doing things on your
think
behalf.
Men got all 5. But so I said to someone the other day, I said, you need to have a conversation with your wife about exploring what each other's love languages are.
I've spoken about this a couple of, with various friends when they've asked for relationship advice and things like that. Going into the conversation, you've got to be very mindful of how you're going into it, how you're approaching it, the language and the tone in which you're speaking. And I don't just mean the way your voice sounds. I mean the tone in which you're wanting a result. Almost, I always say, like, what are you wanting out of the conversation? And if you're wanting a certain thing, then, and you know that doing a certain thing is going to veer you off that desired result, then perhaps avoid that. If you know going in and nagging and constantly
you're not doing
having
this,
a go and being critical is gonna result in your partner shutting down, then why am I going to go down that avenue? Because that's not my desired result. And you should know each other really well enough, I would say, if you've got to this point where you've been in a relationship, you've been connected, and then you've sort of lost that, you should sort of know each other's buttons almost.
I honestly believe, and this is what from my own experience, it's easy to reconnect if you want to.
With intention.
Yes, okay, you said that at the beginning, with intention. But yeah, as a man, if you really want to connect with your wife, you'll do it with intention. You'll do the actions that want to. If you don't want to, then you'll justify it by going, you're the problem. This is why we're not reconnected. This is what you're not doing. And
so
then
I'm just going to shut off.
I'm just going to shut off and not bother and use the excuse of I don't want to reconnect because you're not reconnecting. And that's the lie that I believe us folks.
And it's a vicious circle, isn't it? Because once you feel like your partner's checked out, then you check out. And it's almost a thing of who's going to come to who first.
And then it becomes very tit for tat. And you might come to whoever breaks the ice. The actual situation hasn't been fixed. So you're just breaking the ice just to get on with life and less hassle, aren't you? When you actually need to go back to the root cause. And what a great sign of that is, if you are roommates, is when you start using the child to distract you from all what's going on.
Which I think a lot of couples do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
I think, and just to add on from that, I think resentment builds also from who's doing what task in the house, and it becomes very sort of, well, that's your job to do that, I don't do the washing, or it's not my job to do the washing up. I've been to work all day, and
roommates that doing tasks, aren't you?
You're almost point scoring with each other. Well, I've been to work all day, so why should I have to come home and wash up? And well, I've had the kids all day, so why should I have to do this?
I've been 120 hours this week, you've been at home looking after the kid, and we've had arguments about that.
It can become very much a case of point scoring rather than realizing, hold on a minute, we're batting for the same cause here. We're meant to be a household working together. So no matter who does the washing up or whoever does the laundry, as long as it gets done, it doesn't matter, does it? But I think you've been, and I'm just gonna sing your praises here a little bit. Obviously it helps since the fact that you're not working as many hours as you were, but I think just although we do have a very traditional relationship in the sense that you're the sort of main breadwinner and I'm the one that does most of the things in the house, I do think we have both contributed to the opposite of what we were used to. So you have started to chip in and do more things around the house. So you're predominantly the one that does the school run with our daughter, I have been of late working a little bit more. So I do think you'll go through phases of your relationship where the balance isn't always 50-50, but let's just remember the bottom line of this is we're a family, we're a team, and there's no point scoring, there's no winner or loser here. We're both striving to win.
Definitely, totally. Okay, so we talked about roommates, and hopefully the key areas of that is act on intention of what you want the result to be. Get a date night in, where you can do it in a positive, sophisticated manner, because we love date nights, don't we? Because they're a great way.
I think that's a good way to put it, actually, that you're doing it in a positive way. You're not making it something negative. You're putting a positive spin on perhaps a difficult conversation, with the hopes that by the end of it, and by the time you come home, or by the time you've been wherever you want to be, you've both got something out of it that you both needed.
Another thing is act like you're dating again.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very easy, if you've been together, like we've been together, 11 years, 12 years, is it? Yeah. I think it's very easy to get into a point where you forget about effort.
You stop trying to impress each other.
Well, you stop trying to impress each other. Do you know what I mean? You forget about effort, you forget about turning up. And we've spoken about this in many podcasts before. And so I think redating, where if you are going to do the date night, don't just do a thing of just put casual clothes on and go to a McDonald's. If that's your thing, cool. Okay, if that's your date night, cool beans. However, and I'll be honest, guys, I don't like dressing up. Sometimes I can't be bothered. However, I know you do. So we will dress up and go out and we'll connect and have a date night where it's a proper date night, won't we?
Yeah.
So
sometimes, we want to just go casual. There's been plenty of situations where our daughter's gone to my mom's for the evening and we haven't actually felt like going out, like we've just stayed in and
really need to go out.
But even on those evenings, we'll make an intentional effort to not have our phones out or not just put the TV on or to actually have a conversation.
Definitely. So cool, man, that's good. Okay, next question I want to talk about.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Do women care about how men look in a relationship?
Do we care about how you look?
Yeah. So, for instance, do our wives care about whether we look fit, we've got a good body, and blah blah blah, or has it come to a point now when you're in a relationship where it doesn't really matter as long as you love each other? I know my answer on this.
No, I think it does matter. I think you can love somebody regardless of how they look. And I would say that it's not really true love if you only love someone for how they look. I think love is much deeper than that.
Yep.
You want to obviously love the person that they are and their soul underneath their appearance, but I think the physical attraction is what keeps that spark.
Yeah.
And you may not have it every day. We
spoke about choosing to love, haven't we?
And you see each other at your worst.
Yeah.
And you two are the only people that will ever see you both at your worst.
Early mornings.
Yeah. With your morning breath and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
No one else is ever going to see you like that.
No.
So contrary to that, the person that you're choosing to spend your life with is also the person that's going to see you at your worst all the time. So you've almost got to pull it out of the bag and almost keep showing up at certain intermittent points to be like, this is why you're with me, this is why we're together. You're not going to
physically and mentally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're not going to have it all the time. That's unrealistic. You are not going to see me at my best self looking a 10 out of 10.
You always look good, babe.
24 hours a day. It's just not going to happen.
I
appreciate that, but okay.
Yeah.
But I think it definitely helps you through the years maintaining that physical.
My thing.
Physical attraction.
I always think like I make a joke with her, don't I? I would say if it isn't for your ass, man, we would be arguing. Do you know what I mean? Or I have a joke about it's good job you've got a good ass. Do you know what I mean? And things like that. And I think sometimes as well for us men, we don't actually do it for the wives. Okay. We do it for ourselves.
You don't do what?
We don't work out and look good
to be attractive
to you guys, like, as a wife.
If you're in a relationship.
I think if you're not in a relationship, then you're going out to look good, feel good, so you got confidence to then go in the clubs or whatever you're doing to pull someone. But I think in a relationship, you're not doing it for your wife to go, I'm not being funny. It's a nice bonus when you go, oh, your chest looks good, all your arms look good, and all that sort of thing. Yeah, it's a great feeling
compliment
when you do, and I appreciate them compliments very much so. And if you have your wife that does that, keep doing it to your woman watching this. Keep doing it to your husband because we like it. However, a lot of the time we're working out because of one, mentally it just keeps us grounded.
It's a bit of a release.
And number two, it's more of a discipline.
Yeah.
So it's a tool, a discipline. It keeps us in structure and routine. And I was just curious as to whether most wives appreciate that, of how we look, or appreciate the discipline side of actually he just keeps going to the gym, he keeps turning up and he keeps working out. A lot of
women that I know whose partners go to the gym, a lot of them have said to me they don't go for their appearance, they actually do go for the mental health and as a bit of a release. So that is something that I have heard, and not just from me having a partner like you who has been heavily into the gym since I've known you. But yeah, all of my girlfriends, I suppose, and women that I do know whose partners do train and work out, it's not necessarily for a vanity purpose.
No,
it is just to sort of stay sane. Yeah.
Stay sane in an insane world.
Yeah, train insane.
Train insane in a membrane.
You made me think about something just then. When you're talking about wanting to, maintain your peak of attractiveness, isn't it a shame when the things like revenge body happen, where someone's been in a relationship for a long time, perhaps let themselves go? I don't like that.
I saw this on Instagram the other day,
but it was a Khloe Kardashian thing, wasn't it? It was a program.
Oh, okay. No,
That's where it comes from.
okay.
Okay, so she did a series. I never watched it, but it was.
Of course you didn't.
I didn't. It was a series called Revenge Body, and it was
Okay.
basically people that had breakups
that
had then gone to transform their body through fitness and diet and whatever. What a shame that we do that only at the end of a relationship in hopes of finding someone new rather than actually just trying to be your best self for your partner.
Yeah, I saw yesterday. I saw this woman and she put up a thing and it was her overweight driving a car with the slogan, if I knew the divorce and blah 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 was going to make me a better person, I would have done it sooner. And then the video went to her in shape, and I'm always intrigued by the comments. And if you ever see some of the things, I'm here for the comments.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You're always there for the comments.
That always gets the most likes. And I think a majority of people that were watching it were like, isn't it sad what you've just said? That well, number one, they were like, you don't look better, you look skinny, and blah blah blah, which was quite slack and sad really what they were saying that. But some of the comments were like, it's a shame that you're doing it now, that you didn't do it on in your marriage or work on your marriage or blah blah blah, this and now there's lots of context you could put behind
of course
what's going on for them and all that sort of thing. However,
it might have been a traumatic relationship,
but it is true though, there is a revenge body, and I think from a man's point of view, if I'm really honest with you, most men don't do it for a revenge body.
No, you need
when men go through a breakup, and when men they can't see their kids, or when men can't go to court and win and they get so angry. There's either two modes. It's go all out and kill someone because they're so angry, or they harm themselves. Do you know what I mean? And I've seen it so much, especially again in my support group, like the frustration and anger that dads are feeling because they're going through this court system or they're not getting access to the kids. How else is that meant to be vented?
Yeah.
Unless you go around punching people in the face because you're so angry, which isn't fair on the people that you punch, or unless you take it out on your ex-partner, which they want you to, so they can use that in court, that you came around and beat my door down and blah, 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 and these are the texts that you sent me. Where else are they meant to vent it? The gym.
So you feel like it's a way
it's a coping strategy. It's a coping strategy for a lot of men that are going through the system at the moment, trying to get access to their kids.
Yeah.
That's how they cope with it.
I can't speak for all women, but I would assume that women getting their revenge body isn't for the same reasons, and that it would be for a confidence boost, I would say. Perhaps they haven't got the attention off their man that they were craving, and that they want to feel desirable again. Stress will make you lose weight anyway. So if you go for if you go for a breakup, stress will make you lose weight as it is. You lose your appetite and all sorts. So, but thinking about showing up for your partner, it is a shame in some circumstances that you only become the best version of yourself once you've lost your relationship. So and I think intentionally working on yourself in the relationship as well. So not only finding ways to connect between you, but also just realizing how important you individually are as people. And the only way that you can show up as your best self for someone else is if you're showing up as your best self for you.
I think one of the great things that we've managed to do is I have my own way of doing things and what I do, and you have your thing of your doing things. So like I've taken on cycling, and my passion for cycling now is like an addiction. I love it, and I'm trying to go like 3 to 4 times a week cycling, plus the gym. And the gym's actually took a back burner really, hasn't it, as I've
which you never thought
would ever happen, like being just under 25 years in the gym business and owning gyms and all that sort of thing. I never thought I would actually say, but I'm actually liking cycling more than the gym at the moment, which is cool. But I do feel that sometimes from a man's point of view, we need something. And so I've got my thing, which is cycling in the gym. You've got your thing, which is you go swimming. You're going to get back into the gym after what's happened with your back and stuff like that. And then we come together and we do family things as well. So it's so important that in a marriage that you've got your thing that you do, but also you do things together.
Because you're not one person.
No.
You are still two individuals.
And whoever has a Facebook page together, I don't know how they do that.
Well, I think that's like a trust thing.
That's I don't need a password because you're having together.
I can check your thing whenever you want, but which really you should be an open book anyway. But I think the shared accounts a bit a bit much.
We don't judge.
To each his own.
We don't judge.
I don't think you'll see a Nathan/Melissa Ross page coming anytime soon.
Imagine that, half me, half you.
Coming to a social media page near you. I know, yeah.
Oh dear, Malfin.
Mine will be the side with the hairier beard.
Yeah, your hairier beard. We'll call it Malfin. Okay, so yeah, there's another topic I want to talk about.
Okay, hit me.
And I'm just trying to. It came up to it as we were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about revenge bodies and this, that, and the other. How does a man, tackle the no sex?
Like, there's no intimacy whatsoever. Yeah. There's no.
A man wants sex. Let's be real. Testosterone's high. A man's probably dads are turning to porn. Dads are turning to, like looking after themselves, this, that, and the other. But how do we get?
Do you want the honest answer?
How do we get jiggy with it?
Do you want the honest answer?
I think they want the honest answer. Yeah, they do. What's the honest answer?
You've got to play the long game.
What's that mean?
You've got to play the long game. Put the effort in. Like what we spoke about at the beginning of the conversation.
I was thinking then, what do you mean? Like, have I not put the long game in enough?
This isn't going to be one night. You take your wife out on a fancy date night. You show up, you've got your best aftershave on, your new shirt, you're looking all suave. You give her an hour or two of your time having surface level conversation, and then you're going to get the most passionate sex of your life. It does not work like that. Rebuilding and reestablishing a genuine connection, because let's be honest, let's be real. We can see through your bullshit. Yes, we can see through when you are just trying to get into our knickers. You know, I'm telling you look good, I'm giving you all the jazz, everything you want to hear, because I want nookie at the end of the night. We're not stupid, we can see right through it, and we're not falling for it.
So instead of going, as Chandler would say, and Monica and Rachel, instead of going to first base, we need to do the work and do the seven. Of course.
Well, the 1, 2, the seven.
Yeah.
And that isn't going to be over a period of one night or two nights, or even a week. I think it's and I'm not saying, trying to dread the situation of I've got to wait months to have sex with my partner. But let's be honest, do you want to have it if you know your partner's not really feeling it anyway? So let's just work towards really re-establishing that emotional connection, so that when you are physical and you do finally have that intimacy, it's real and it's really genuine, and you're not just getting your end away thinking, oh well, at least I'm satisfied, because trust me, your wife isn't.
No. Okay, Roger.
Julie noted. Play the long game.
Play the long game. Okay, well, I think we've covered a good 3 hot topics.
Can I just ask if there's anything that you would add to that? What if a dad was to come, if you hadn't had my input, what would your answer be? I would always come back to the relationship, and if you're reconnected or if you've connected. Because I know from the hard work that we've built up this last year, connecting is the key. And I also just think that sometimes you love to talk. And you like to talk about topics that I wouldn't want to talk about. In what capacity?
Just general crap.
Okay.
Let's be real. You like to talk about general crap.
How it is.
Like I like to talk about general crap that you're not interested in. But showing interest in each other, whether it's topics you want to talk about or topics you don't, it doesn't really matter. Just show interest. You know what I mean? And I think with that then comes a lot more relationship talking, a lot more re-establishing each other, understanding each other. And you want to be understood like we want to be understood. So once you start doing that and understanding each other's needs, wants and feelings and all that, then that just leads into then, oh, I love this person, I'm falling in love with this person, I need to make love to this person.
Yeah, it's all compromise, isn't it? And
and it's easy if you think about it.
Meeting in the middle.
It's all about effort.
It's
all about, and like, look at the beginning of a relationship. You put effort in.
And you're very willing to compromise
and you're willing to compromise and put things to the side, and you're willing to meet in the middle, and you're willing to listen. And I remember sitting there for hours listening to you going,
with your matchsticks trying to close your eyes.
Exactly.
Like, can I go home?
Yeah, we're gonna get nookie or what? You know what I mean? But you've still got to do that again. You got to do that again. Otherwise, what's the point?
Because let's be honest, when you do start dating, that there was compromises back then. You think that when you first start dating someone,
perfect.
that you thought each other was a 10 out of 10. There were probably orange flags then. I mean, if it's a red flag, you probably wouldn't be, you know,
ick moments, as they say, with the new crowd now.
But if you think, like, you know, there probably were things that you weren't so keen on, but the good outweighed the bad. So you were willing to, you know, just put aside the not things that you weren't so fond about, because actually there were more pros than cons. So remembering that as well.
Definitely. So guys, I hope we've given you some insight into how to reconnect, reestablish, and go from roommates to soulmates, because I think it's a big area that most dads feel they can't take control of, when really you can. And it's all about reestablishing, reconnecting, and coming back to the reason why you got together in the first place. So there we have it, episode 14 of the Tired Dad podcast. Guys, if you can subscribe, I would love you to subscribe. If you can share, please share. We're still looking for more interviewers in 2025 that we can interview for dads, and literally share your story. That's all you've got to do. Share your story about being a dad in today's society, and how, the things you've overcome, how you built your business, how you've reestablished being a better dad, or where your failures are, because people like to learn from failures as well. So apart from that, guys, like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you on the next episode of the Tired Dad podcast.
Bye.
Bye.